Rebel with the Cause, Mark Twain's Hidden Memoirs. Chapter 62, A Ruck of Rags, The Tale of Lost Essentials, 1896. I was in Guildford, England, in our rented house, pacing slowly around the room, deep in thought, but about nothing in particular, when a telegram was placed into my hands. When I first glanced at it, I could not quite discern just what intelligence it was conveying to me. When the meaning of the words reached home, I knew what a soldier feels when a shell strikes his chest. That a person can suffer that sort of shock and live is a marvel. This was a new low for me. Prior to this, the deepest depths of despair and loss for me had been first the loss of my sister Margaret, then my brother Ben, and then years later my brother Henry. Those events stood for many years as the worst of my life. But now, with the death of Susie, my grief and guilt descended to a new abyss. This would remain the devastatingest loss of my life, being perhaps even worse than the loss of Livy some 8 years later, because Livy had never been very healthy and had been gradually declining for years. But Susie was only 24, and I had not seen her for a year at the time of her death. Now nothing of her was left but a heartbreak and a memory. I was alone when I received that telegram. Livy and Clara were already aboard a ship bound for America to see about Susie. You see, we had gotten a telegram from home saying that Susie was sick and that it would be a long but sure recovery. This news was distressing to us, of course, but was ameliorated by the assurance of recovery. Livy and Clara, though, were still inclined to worry and sailed the next day for America to assist in the nursing of Susie. I remained behind in England, having been calmed by the false prophecy of a certain recovery. On getting news of Susie's dire condition, Twitchell cut short his vacation and raced to the house in Hartford, where Susie was lying on what turned out to be her deathbed. Also present were Susie's namesake, Aunt Susan Crane, and our housekeeper of many decades, Katie Leary. Katie would also be there at Livy's death, was the one to discover Jean when she died, and would be the one to inform me about both tragedies, too. Susie had died of spinal meningitis. Although her mother and Clara were too late to be with her at the end, she was in such delirium that, on seeing a dress once worn by her mother, thought that she was looking at the former wearer of the garment herself, and spoke to it as if such were the case. How utterly inconsolable I was. Yet I knew I must somehow continue on, for the sake of those who remained.